At twilight. Iris bed. Stevia. Irises. These are native iris. Sorry about the AC. Eastern pine. This is a pine from Pennsylvania. A lot of iris, bearded iris, and eastern red cedar, native yarrow, columbine, quite a few bearded iris. And then we move over to the native yarrow. This is yarrow that is not contained, allowed to grow, allowed to expand. I'll probably cut it back just so it can rebloom. This is Short Tooth Mountain Mint, and that's Penny because she gets jealous when I film the garden. So a little bit of chamomile. And here's Penny, the old lady who doesn't like when I talk to my plants, and not her. So this is the garden. I've been expanding year over year. I've been trying to do perennials. So here is the rhubarb. This one's only 2 years old, but it's doing pretty well. It's Victoria rhubarb. This is a comfrey, which I'll relocate pretty shortly. Some anise hyssop. Some lovage or lovage. It's a replacement for celery. It has stalks like celery. You can use the leaves like celery, and it has a really delicious taste for soups and other dishes. This is a beautiful rue, sold as a native plant, but I'm not sure that it's a native plant. And it did what it was expected to do. It attracted the swallowtails, and there are babies on the plant. So hopefully they will come to adulthood. I have a lot of wasps in the yard, and I have a dill right nearby that had about 5 swallowtail babies on it that are gone, probably taken by wasps. Then we have our cucumber. This is a Kirby cucumber, great for pickling, making delicious pickles. And there's some beans. One of the bush bean varieties that I put in. The slugs have had a field day with that. This is one of my tomato varieties. It's doing really well. It's still a little early in the season, but it does have flower bloom, so it is time. And then this is a physalis given to me by Hezzy at work. And Penny's letting me know. Hello, baby girl. She's so jealous. So this is the garden and Penny. I have the perennials, the rue, the rhubarb, the anise hyssop. And then I have tomatoes and cucumbers and beans and peas. These are Alaska peas, primarily. They are a shelling pea, and they're doing very well this year. It's getting a little warm for them, so I'm not sure how much more time I'll have with them. And this is the beets that are coming up, and Swiss chard. Beautiful Swiss chard. Another dill. The dill is not doing phenomenal. I'm not happy about it, but we'll get it to where it needs to be. We have comfrey. We have nasturtium. We have lupine. It's supposed to be wild lupine, so hopefully it's a native plant. If not, I'll be making the decision to either relocate or terminate. And there's the peas. Beautiful Alaska peas, shelling peas. And this is the bean progress to date. We have cannellini beans. We have some checkered, 5-spot checkered flowers that reseeded. And we have black runner beans. And then we have beautiful wine cap stropharia. I put the spawn in this wood chip bed. I did not grab every mushroom. They were delicious, but some of them I just let them go to spore. And then in the center, we have beautiful sunflowers coming up. Some perennials. I figured a coneflower here and there. And a gorgeous rampicante. This rampicante will take over this whole arbor, which is a cattle panel I got from Neptune. They deliver for free, so they're really great. They're out in Calverton. And then we have anise hyssop. Makes a delicious tea. It smells a lot like licorice. It's a really nice herbal plant. And then we have a couple of other varieties of peas. We have Magnolia tendril blossom. You can eat the flower, the leaf, the tendrils. Every part of this plant is edible, including the pod. Very sweet, very delicious. I recommend it highly. That's Magnolia blossom tendril. I think it's from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. Mary's Heirloom Seeds relocated to Texas, and her stuff is phenomenal. Her seed germination is at a very high rate, and her varieties are wonderful. And Penny's letting us know that she's here and interested in what we're doing. And then we have sugar snap peas, quite a few of those, doing really well this year. They're delicious and sweet. I almost don't make it into the house with them because they're so good. And then we have Lincoln garden peas, which is our shelling pea. These, I wait until they're a decent size before taking them in. And then we have Burpiana early peas. Same thing. They have beautiful pods. I just wait for the pods to get the right size. And then in that same bed, we have fava beans. This is fava beans. You can eat the leaves like spinach. They're very tender, delicious. In that same bed, a perennial asparagus going to fern. It's a really pretty plant. For those of you who've never grown asparagus, I recommend it highly. It's my first year having it. It'll take a couple years to get a real harvest, but I'm looking forward to it. And then we have the cannellini beans, the black coat runner beans. I'm coming back the same way. And then we have the physalis, the Kirby, and this is new this year, an herb, patchouli. Very excited about that. It smells just like what you would imagine patchouli to smell like. It's very soothing, very calming. Right next to some rosemary, some dill that the slugs seem to love, and a physalis, which is a ground cherry, from a colleague at work who was kind enough to gift me a few seedlings. So those are going to be maturing soon. And then we get to our lettuce bed. Most of this lettuce needs to be harvested. We have oak leaf lettuce right here. That was great. It was $1 seed packet from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. I recommend Mary's site highly. She's got great varieties. And then nasturtium is one of my favorite plants. I'm sorry for the darkness, but it's twilight and the sun is just setting. So I've replaced my spinach with beans, and we still have some lettuces coming to harvest right here next to a beautiful melon squash and some other bush beans. So bush beans are going to replace a lot of the lettuces in this bed. Bush beans there and there. The wind is starting to increase, but there's a beautiful bronze leaf. This is just delicious. I will often take just a leaf off and eat the leaf. So good. We also have a black-seeded Simpson here. That's a beautiful lettuce. Italian parsley, a bay leaf, tons and tons of nasturtium because it's one of my favorite edibles as well as ornamental. And then we have red Norland potatoes, 120-gallon grow bag here, and another 20-gallon grow bag there. More comfrey. Comfrey is a nitrogen fixer, so whatever you plant after the comfrey, I know, Penny, whatever you plant after the comfrey will do really, really well. And then we have a native plant called Coreopsis. This is a plant I have had in my garden for many, many years. And then this is Kennebec potatoes. So they're doing really, really well. Go back over to our lettuce bed, and this is a dwarf basil, dwarf purple basil. It's doing really well. Regular Genovese basil, and a purple leaf basil. I'm sorry if it's a little too dark to get a full picture on that. And then we have our standard rosemary, some zinnias, beautiful thyme, all our lettuces, and our bush beans. So everything's really starting to come into its own. It's that time of year. Coreopsis, you can tell it's nighttime because the lights are starting to turn on. But what I'm really happy about is the borage that have reseeded themselves. Borage is a beautiful edible flower. The leaves, the flowers are all edible. Plus they help the pollinators to find your tomatoes, which I have some pretty large tomato varieties here. One's a beefsteak, you kind of standard. And then we have our beans and a beautiful clematis Montana on our cattle panel. It's done blooming, but the foliage is still just as beautiful. So I just wanted to share that as I end my day. We have our Coreopsis, and we have our lupine, and other flowers going too. The last bed is our blueberries over here. As the sun sets, we just get a little bit of view of the blueberries, our rhubarb, our strawberries, our King Stropharia mushrooms that I planted the spawn for, our garlic, our physalis that seeded themselves, a few that I put in from the gift from my colleague, as well as kohlrabi. So that's an early kohlrabi and some nasturtium. We have some red onion, some scallion, some leek. And Penny is coming to see me. On that note, I will end it on our leek blossom that is ready to pop, our strawberries, our sunchoke or Jerusalem artichoke, and our little fairy bed, foam flower, a native plant, as well as nasturtium, chive, native ginger, and it's too dark. So I'm going to end this here.